right, everyone, welcome back for another episode of my Office Hours podcast with Professor Brad Perkins. Today, we have special guest, engineer and businessman extraordinaire Tom Foldis, is here to talk to us about the exciting world of engineering consulting and maybe some of the things he's learned along the way. We also have a couple of in-studio guests. So first, Tom, why don't you introduce yourself to the people watching?
Yeah, my name's Tom Foldis. I'm a principal and one of the founding partners at KEDbluestone, which is a MEP consulting engineering firm. We've got about 70 folks spread between 3 offices. We have one in Johnston, one in Peoria, and then we just opened one in Iowa City. And then soon to be announced, we'll be opening a 4th office here in 2025.
You are?
Yeah.
No way.
Exciting.
Yeah. Can you say where?
No, can't say it where.
Can't say where.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Man, we're some of the first to know.
Yeah.
First to know.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
then, and so my career, basically, I came to Iowa State. I worked for a consulting engineering firm right out of school. Then I did a segue mid part of my career. I worked at a large design build mechanical contractor. And then after that, I started Bluestone Engineering, which here last year I merged with a firm in Peoria, Keith Engineering Design, to create KEDbluestone. So,
all right. In the interest of full disclosure, Tom was working at the consulting firm at the same time I was.
the first one.
Yeah, the first one. Our former employer, and then currently, on occasion, Tom's firm does hire me to do engineering, kind of engineering energy studies and that type of thing. So,
and I did do a stint of 2 semesters teaching here.
oh, that's right. And then
yeah.
I convinced him to come here to teach. After a couple of semesters, which included COVID, he was like, "Oh, Perkins, what are you doing? This is. I'm going back to the consulting world." So he ditches us and goes to the consulting world again. All right. So I guess our paths have been intertwined for about 25 years
At least.
Wow. Yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot of time in the engineering
You're
world.
making me feel old.
Yeah, well, these guys make me feel old all the time.
Both of
Here,
our
Vinny.
lifetimes.
Vinny's like, yeah, I was a sophomore in high school during COVID.
Yep.
You know, and I'm like,
was.
oh my God.
You're kind of blowing my cover here when I tell people I'm 30. It doesn't work.
Now you're just a product.
Yeah.
That's okay. To
Yeah.
them, 30's ancient anyway. So, you know, it doesn't
very
matter. Doesn't matter. You know, they're like, yeah, you're old, dude. All right. So, okay. So for our Anna, if you want to introduce yourself, and since you're here in studio.
Sure. My name's Anna Werner. I'm a senior studying construction engineering with a mechanical emphasis. First-time visitor in person, so I'm excited to be here.
All right. And she just got done with my Connie 352 class, and she's in Connie 380, the engineering law class. All right. Vinny, go ahead.
All right. I'm Vinny Carson, a junior studying construction engineering. It's my second time in-person guest on the podcast with a building emphasis.
The building emphasis. Wait, what? You didn't switch? I thought you were going to switch.
No, I like to have career options open, you know.
What?
No, I'm
So you're a
kidding.
mechanical emphasis?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a. What's funny is he says that, but she will have more options than him. No, I'm serious. Have you listened to nothing I've said over the
Oh,
last
I've listened to
3
you.
years?
I've listened to you.
And promptly ignored it.
I will tell you from experience that every candidate that I interview that's mechanical or electrical, if they don't have, they at least have 3 offers.
Yeah.
So
Let's see what happens. I might be homeless. I don't know. I don't know.
Could be. You'll be like, hey Ben, can I borrow that ice fishing hut? You know, and live in it. I'm sure Ben will cut you a good deal.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay. Hopefully. No, he probably won't. I mean, cut you a good deal.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. And then we have several people that are on the Zoom call that we're going to bring in. Before we're all done, Vinny's got an extra credit discussion to talk about the Big Blue Crane collapse, which is kind of an interesting engineering case study and construction case study. But first, what I want to do, Tom, is give you a chance to talk about the world of consulting engineering, because we have a lot of students that are taking my 380 class that are mechanical engineers and don't get to hear me as much as like a construction engineering student. Don't get to hear me talk about, well, this is why you need a PE license, and this is, you know, the world of building design and HVAC design and electrical engineering design. We have a lot of electrical engineers and mechanical engineers taking the 380 course. If you wanted to talk a little bit about what life as a consulting engineer is like, kind of the job, why it's captivated you for the last
36 years.
6 years. You know, why it's a really good career. You know, if you could just kind of go through a few things, that'd be awesome.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I've been in the industry long enough, and I've kind of seen a lot of different aspects of it. I've worked as, you know, a consulting engineer for the most part. I did take a 3-year hiatus and worked for a design build contractor, which was fascinating in and of itself. It's just not a good fit for me. And then on top of that, one of the sister firms of my original firm was a construction, basically a project management firm where we did outsource project management for like large corporate entities like Nationwide Insurance, Wells Fargo, companies like that. So I've kind of gotten to see you got the relationship triangle on a project. You got the owner, the contractor, and the designer. And I got to sit in all 3 of those seats, sometimes 2 of them at one time, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
So you know, so the designer seat's kind of interesting. And being a consulting engineer, the difference between being a consulting engineer, an engineer at a consulting firm, and say an engineer with a design build contractor. When you're a design build contractor engineer, you're supporting specifically the construction arm of the contractor, and you know, because they're integrating everything. So, and there's a lot of positives that come with that, and you know, and then there's also pitfalls too a little bit, because you know you're working for one contractor, you're going to only work on the jobs that they work on, and also you know the big driver with the contractor is going to be getting the project. You know, it's usually very heavily cost driven. We're consulting engineer. All we do, our primary, I guess, product is our engineering services. It's the intellectual property that we kind of put out there. And the beauty about hiring a consulting engineer is you're hiring somebody that is a true third-party advocate for the owner. You know, you have no relationship to the construction piece, so that you're always making decisions in the best interest of the owner. Not saying a design build contractor isn't, but there's just an inherent conflict that's kind of built in. So we tend to do a lot of work that is, we do a lot of institutional work, the firm that I started, which means we do a lot of medical, a lot of primary education, secondary education, government, and we tend to gravitate toward work that is very more technically complex, because that's where having that third party really becomes a benefit, you know, in terms of having that independent eye that kind of looks at that, and then you have an expertise that you develop over time. So that's kind of a, you know, and the other thing I like about being a consulting engineer, just to be honest, is our primary product is our design. And so I always tell people that when you go work for the company, be involved very closely to whatever their end product is, because that's going to be the most beneficial from your career standpoint. If you're doing a support role, it's a little tougher haul sometimes if you're looking for upward mobility.
Well, you know, let's talk a little bit about that role of a consulting engineer. And I have also worked like you said, worked for all of the above.
Right.
I've also done some expert witness on cases that have gone wrong. And if anyone was to ask, all right, what's the best way, right? Do we do traditional plan and spec with a consulting engineer? Do we do more, do we do more, go design build route? And construction management is a whole nother thing. It's not completely different, but it's close. But let's just talk about the difference between design build and traditional plan and spec. I think they both have their place where both are really good. If you're looking for a more creative answer where the engineer is not limited by what the contractor does well, consulting and the traditional plan and spec type of way of producing a building, I think is probably the best option. However, I will say that design build, and I'm going to caveat this, design build done well can also be very good. Design build done poorly is, in my opinion, the worst. The ugliest lawsuits I've been involved with as an expert witness, the worst, just the worst products and angry owners have all been design build done poorly.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
What's that?
Why do you think that is?
Well, because some people see design build as a chance to skip design.
Yeah.
Like they start the construction before.
No, it's
design.
not that they started. It's just that they're like, engineers, they just, gold plate everything and they're really expensive. Let's just go ahead and skip that part. We know what we're doing. We can put a rooftop unit on a roof with the best of them, right?
Yeah.
Well, like, let me give you an example. All right, the church that I used to be a trustee for, and let me just say that if penance is a real thing, where you're paying for the sins of your youth, you do that by being a trustee at a church as an engineer. Okay.
I will second that.
Yeah. You've done this. All right. Oh God, it's like, the worst phrase you want to hear on a Sunday when you're a trustee. Hey, are you a trustee? What that means is, hey, the toilet's clogged. I don't want to touch that thing. It's you. Okay. So we're gonna
Notes.
Yeah.
we're gonna do this addition to our church. We're gonna build some classrooms and a gymnasium because at the time we just had this thriving youth program and we're gonna do this and we're gonna do this design build and okay, fine. And there's no politics like small town politics. There's no politics like small town church politics.
So true.
So we end up settling on not the highest proposal, not the worst one, but something in the middle. Okay, fine. Local contractor, fine. We'll use
Bubba's Heating and Cooling or not?
right. They were Bubba's Heating. When I'm talking Bubba's Heating and Cooling, I'm meaning
This
these
is what you're
This is
referencing
what I'm
every single
referencing.
time.
See, Tom, the phrase that my students in class hear a lot is there's a difference in skill set for both engineers and contractors. There's the ones that you get for the simple projects, and there's the ones that are lab spaces and hospitals and whatever. And the phrase I use in class is right.
Bubba's Heating and
Yeah,
Cooling.
this is not a job for Bubba's Heating and Cooling. All right. Now, was it either one of your groups that used?
No, that was
Mine.
That was your
me.
group.
Oh
Your
yeah,
group.
you were in Brian's
That
group.
was
Yeah.
that was their group company name, Bubba's.
Yeah.
And their logo was
And
was
design
this,
build.
Yeah, was this awesome picture of a guy in bib overalls with like some wrenches and said, "This is a job for Bubba's Heating and Cooling." Right? That had to be the best company name in
Appreciate it.
52 for all towns. Okay, but anyway, my point is that so these guys are like, yeah, we're gonna do this design build. We've got experience doing this, blah blah. Okay, fine. So we meet, and we're sitting down at the table. Very first project meeting. We've hired them. We've picked their proposal. I created some rough drawings, which now I look back and I'm like, I probably shouldn't have done that. But anyway, I created some rough drawings that they were supposed to, just the idea of this is what we want, come with a proposal for this, and you're responsible for all the engineering and stuff on this, right? And so we're at this meeting. I'm on the building committee. It's my youth pastor that's with me. We're sitting beside each other. Got cross table general contractor and overall design builder and his mechanical and electrical subs that they're doing the mechanical and electrical design build part. And I'm like, okay, here's the church's position. Before we build anything, we need a set of signed and stamped and sealed drawings so that we know what we're getting, you know what you're building, and we've got a good record to proceed with so that, we know what we're getting.
Mm.
Mechanical subcontractor leans on the table and says, hold on. Let me tell you how design build works.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
This went well for you.
Yeah.
No,
And he doesn't know who I am, because this is rural Boone County, Iowa, and the guy's never touched a project that we would have designed.
Right.
Okay. Has no idea who I am, what I do for a living. I'm like, I look over at my youth pastor and he's just like, oh. I'm like, I look at him and I'm like, hey, sure, shit. Tell me how design build works.
Oh boy.
Okay. And he goes, well, you don't need engineering drawings and we got a relationship with your general contractor and they know us and we know them and we'll get you the building you need and the systems that you need and because it's in rural Boone County. No building. No, it's not in the city. There's not even a city permitting, And they're like, you don't need all that stamp drawing stuff. Like, oh, really? Oh, okay. And I look at him, I'm like, okay, let me explain to you how design build works. We're building classrooms in a gymnasium. This is an assembly occupancy. My kids are going to be playing in this gym. And we might have two almost underneath 300 people, right?
Yeah.
299 maybe showing up at an event. I said, let me explain to you how design build works. This is an assembly occupancy, and you need stamp drawings, and that's what we, the church, expect. And let me just explain that if the fire marshal comes down here and shuts down our church because we don't have the right number of exits or whatever it is, we, the church, are holding you, our design builders, responsible. Let me be clear on that. So I think we should just go ahead and do stamp drawings. And he looks at me and he's like, are you trying to tell me that design build projects need stamp drawings? And I'm like, how long have you been offering services as an engineer without a license?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. It didn't get better after this. I just want to throw that out. That was the highlight. And then it just went downhill from there. Okay.
I've got
So
a
did Bubba
question.
get a little tongue-tied?
Yeah.
So the general contractor for design build can hire out as many subs as they want still?
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Here,
But
the only thing,
So-
here,
The only
just
thing that's
understand
lumped-
this. Okay, the lump of general contractor, designer, mechanical contractor, electrical contractor, all that,
Mhm.
from the owner's perspective, is the design builder.
Okay.
They are one entity as far as the owner cares.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go back and caveat your caveat.
Sure. Okay. Hit me with it.
So there's it's a little bit more, instead of kind of being a dichotomy, there's more of a spectrum, I think, in terms of delivery.
Okay, I agree.
Because so when design build really started coming of its own, right around 2000, I want to say, is when we really started seeing a lot of the big, and I'm going to talk specifically the specialty subs, like
Okay.
mechanical, electrical, plumbing, the big subs. When they started doing that, it was kind of a little bit the Wild West in terms of how they approached it, because they were hiring consulting engineers
Yeah.
and to kind of do it in the background. So we'd get hired to work for the contractor who got hired by the CM, who was performing at design build, and everybody was trying to find the right formula. There was a thing called, and there is a thing called design assist, which is really basically taking a independent consulting engineer, marrying it up with a contractor,
Okay.
and then you're still independent. It's another way of saying it's negotiated, and so you still have a consulting engineer involved. It's plan and spec sort of.
Sort of.
Yeah, because you're
Sort
not doing all the defensive detailing that you would do when in something that you're hard bidding.
Okay, and
Yeah.
this is an important part, all right, which makes it, I think, in some ways better and in some ways worse.
Right.
Okay, because and what he's saying is the mechanical contractor is picked. It's not a bidding thing. We know who it's going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Now-
sometimes we're involved in the process of helping
and
select them.
sometimes involved. You might get a consulting engineer involved in the process of picking that one, because as consulting engineers we have opinions. I mean, strong ones.
Like which
As-
contractors you want to
Yes.
work with? Okay.
Which ones are the Bubbas of the world, and which ones are the ones when stuff gets tough.
Yeah, so we probably the most prominent one we do on larger projects anymore. There's a couple of things. So So like on larger projects, like for example, we do work for Live Nation Entertainment, like all over the country. So we design like concert venues.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
And so we'll go into like, we're doing one in Pittsburgh right now. And the way they're going through the procurement is they hired we got to design development drawings, and they use that to do an RFP to go out and select a construction manager.
Hold on. For my students,
Yes.
design development drawings, not schematic drawings that we're doing with a crayon, not competitive bid documents that are pretty buttoned up. They are in the middle. Remember for 352, what I said is the project is very much design development ish.
30-ish%.
Right? Yeah. Where we're like, okay, I want to know how big's the chiller, how big's the boiler's plant, but I don't need every elbow and
It's
anyway,
basically you quantify. This is what I told my 441 class is that you quantify everything.
Yep.
You got pretty decent sizing on all your major equipment, but you don't have, like, if you're doing HVAC, you maybe have a duct main drawn single line and that's it. Electrically, you might have the lights laid out, maybe some plugs and the power distribution, but nothing circuited. And so it's like you're getting the meat of it there where a good contractor can kind of come in, do a takeoff, and fill in the blanks pretty well.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just put good contractor in quotes. So, because the most dangerous thing you can do is to give those drawings to a not good contractor and have them price it, because then you'll have we're being censored, aren't we? I can't use certain words.
No, swear away, buddy.
Yeah, no, but
is going on the
that's what we
internet.
call a shit show. So.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
See, there's a reason I say above 18 on my podcast stuff.
Oh, good.
All right.
Oh,
so you
God,
can
I'll
say
let it fly then.
Yeah, let it fly. bud. I'm good with that. All right.
So you were in the Navy, so good. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
I can swear with the best of them.
So we got that. They got the CM on board, and then what the CM does is they go and do the similar thing at like maybe 90% CDs. They'll go out, which I don't understand why you couldn't take it to 100, but whatever.
Yeah.
And then they'll go out and procure the MEP, the major subs, specialty subs. And then they're brought on board, and they have a thing called a GMP contract, which is a guaranteed maximum price. And then that's the price that the contractor is guaranteeing that the project's going to come in at the end of the day.
At or below, right?
At or below, yeah. And then the idea is that you have some level of cost sharing with the owner. So, hey, if I get it 20% below, I keep 10, you keep 10, this type of thing. And that varies project to project. Those projects, as a consulting engineer, they're kind of my favorite, because we still get to do a really decent design. We're still providing a good value to the owner. It's just the risk element is much reduced for us, because when you do a hard bid, it's a little bit more, they're on their side, we're on our side. When we're doing more of a design assist, it's a lot more collaborative, I guess is a right term. Which isn't to say that a hard bid project couldn't be collaborative, but you just have to approach it correctly.
A little bit more like strategic in the approach.
Yeah. Like in a hard bid project, what I tell my project managers, the first thing you do after the bids are in is you find out who their electrical mechanical subs are. You find out who their PM is and their superintendent. You go out and buy them lunch and have a good conversation, just to talk about what they saw and on the plans, and just develop a relationship.
Okay.
Why, gosh, that almost sounds similar to things I've said in class. Thank you.
Yeah, well, you know what, and since this is part of the law class, right?
Yes.
The engineering law.
Yeah.
The reason you do that is, yes, you want to be a nice human being first and foremost, but the second reason is that it's a lot harder to sue somebody that you have a relationship with.
Yeah.
And it's a lot harder, it's a lot easier to come to, to have a sit-down discussion, and it's like, hey, you know what, looks like we missed something here, let's work through it and do it collaboratively versus combatively.
Yeah.
And so to me, the key is the relationship aspect. Now, one more thing I'm going to say about design build, And the other thing we're noticing about design build right now, especially in the last since COVID, I'm going to say post-COVID, is that a lot of companies, even on the simple jobs like multifamily, retail, light commercial, light industrial, even on those projects, we're being asked to design and hard bid projects. And the reason is because construction managers and developers are starting to recognize that when you go to Bubba's Heating and Cooling, they don't have an engineer. And to tell them you want design build without them having an engineer and really giving them specific guidance and what you mean by design is just not working. They're good. Bubba may be a really good contractor if he has a good set of plans.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing a lot of, like, especially some big developers that honestly we never even talked to are now starting to call us to do design, full design, which is really interesting because on top of everything else we've got, like a lot of the markets coming back right now, and like healthcare is really starting to boom. Entertainment and hospitality are booming. Now all of a sudden we got clients that are calling us about multifamily, mixed use.
that one's kind of weird for me. Okay, because I don't think I did any the whole time I was in the consulting world. Multifamily, what he's talking about is apartment complexes, condos, those types of
And
things.
mixed use is where you have
Mixed
retail
use.
on like the first level,
Right.
or commercial.
And usually
Kind of
they're-
like a lot of stuff
oh
in Ames.
gosh,
Yeah,
like
that's all
that.
mixed
Yeah,
use.
Everything in
Yeah, everything
Yeah.
in Ames. Everything in Ames. And the reason being is that along Lincoln Way, the cost of the property is so expensive,
You can only build up.
you have to build up.
Yeah.
I mean, just the finances don't work if you don't have tall vertical structure. And it works best when that first story is retail. Instead, so that's why you see so much first floor retail, apartment, is that it's financially, that's how you maximize your footprint with rental space. Okay. But my point is that I would not have taken well, I guess unless I was told. I mean, as a young engineer, you do what you're told.
Yeah.
Right. But given the choice, apartments and stuff, at the time, I'd have been like, not my deal. I do high rises, I do chill water systems and boiler systems.
You and I came from the same place. So
Exactly.
we both, and I agree, there's a little bit of sticking our nose up a little bit
There
when
is
it
a
comes
little
to certain types of projects. However,
Engineer snob.
yeah. However, I'll tell you,
Although we are the same. So.
Yeah.
we're just going into construction with a pretty high-profile project in downtown Des Moines. That's an adaptive reuse of an office high-rise into residential.
Interesting.
And
Which
so-
building?
Financial Center, 666 Walnut.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. The kind of the white one with the vertical striping kind of. Yeah. So
Okay, I thought maybe you were about to say the Ruan.
Well, what Wells Fargo Financial used to occupy almost the entire building, which the other thing we're seeing in the market post-COVID.
Wait a minute, didn't we design that?
Yeah, we did.
We did. Yeah, I mean, like you and me.
Yeah, that was
Back
a
in the
project we
day.
worked on.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
The good old days.
Oh gosh.
Oh.
So
wait a minute. Is that the one with the crystal bowl on the top?
no, you're
That's Wells Fargo.
yeah, you're
home
talking
mortgage.
Yeah,
Oh,
home
that's home
mortgage.
mortgage.
Yeah,
I'm
that's home mortgage. I'm talking
sorry.
financial. So
Okay, financial.
so anyhow, so post-COVID, one thing that what happened during COVID? Nobody went to work, right? Everybody worked at home.
Yeah.
So post-COVID, a lot of companies
Let's
like
use the term work loosely, but go ahead.
yeah. So remote work is a thing. So in the corporate world, like one of our largest clients for, I mean, good Lord, 20 years. Ever since I started my company 20 years ago, was Nationwide Insurance, and we have our hands all over about every major nationwide facility in the country. The ones downtown Des Moines, Columbus, Ohio, Philadelphia, Raleigh, Gainesville, San Antonio, Scottsdale, you name it. We've done work. Almost all those offices got shut down, and they're almost. I was asking about this. Over half their workforce is permanent remote.
Wow.
So, and this is not just live Nationwide Insurance. A lot of companies did this. So, what does that create? A lot of really expensive vacant buildings.
Yeah.
And so a big trend that we're seeing right now is a lot of communities are incentivizing adaptive reuse of these old office buildings into different purposes. And one of the most popular is multifamily residential. So imagine converting a high-rise office building to residential use.
Oh, I can imagine it.
That's
Sounds kinda hard.
It's nothing I'd want to do.
Yeah, it's It's pretty fascinating, and from a complexity standpoint, tell you what, I mean, you're talking
that is complex.
yeah, it's an interesting exercise in engineering, but anyhow,
Well, so back to here, the one thing that we kind of touched on, I want to come back to,
yeah,
is that when he talks about the really good ones, they're doing design build.
Mhm.
All right, there's mechanical contractors that have full design wings. I mean, like not just one guy with a PE stamp. I'm talking about
Yeah.
an engineering department that has really good engineers,
Yeah.
right? And I'm not going to say who the better ones are and who the ones aren't so good at. But there's both. I mean, like there's going to be in anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
mm-hmm.
there's good engineering firms, and there's
Okay,
there's the
engineering
Bubba's
Yeah.
heating and cooling of the engineering world
Mhm.
too.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's always going to be the case. That's the case for everything from attorneys to pro sports teams to
Yeah.
you name auto mechanics, right?
Mhm.
There's ones that you bring the Bugatti to, and there's ones that you don't.
Yeah.
So my point is that you could go work for, if you're a mechanical engineer, you could easily go and work for a mechanical design firm like Tom's here, or you could go work for a mechanical contractor that has their own large design wing, and all they do is engineering.
Mhm.
Now
Yeah.
they're only engineering on projects that they're going to build, and they're probably going to engineer the solutions that they want to build, but they're still really good design firms. Now, something here to get into, and I want to point this out, the only way you have the choice of working at all those different spots is by,
Being a mechanical emphasis.
no, that's
Oh.
not true.
Dang. Oh.
But it
Close.
damn sure
Yeah.
helps.
Yeah.
It really helps. But it's getting that, it's getting your engineer EIT, taking the
Yeah.
EIT,
Hmm.
ultimately sitting for your PE license and the PE exam.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you that at your age,
FE, I think. is
right?
what it's
Yeah,
called.
the FE. Yeah, it's now the FE, the Fundamentals of Engineering exam.
Yeah.
We used to call it the EIT exam. Okay, but the
What did
point
IT
is
stand for?
engineering training.
ET?
EIT,
Oh,
Oh.
EIT.
engineering training exam.
Ah.
All right, now the Fundamentals of Engineering exam. But the point here is that right now you're graduating at a time when there's tons of job opportunities for everybody, and
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Mhm.
Okay, may not be that way all the time, all the years of your life. In fact, it won't.
Mhm.
With that in mind, having your professional engineering license is job security, because now you can go work for every firm that Tom's been talking about.
Mhm.
You're qualified to go talk to about a job,
Yeah.
all of them.
Mhm.
Without that professional engineering license, some of them will not be interested in talking to you.
Mhm.
You know?
Right. No, and it's to me, it's like the other, and again, I'm biased, but I think working as a consulting engineer and learning the ropes of design and really getting immersed in that and getting your license that should be your focus for your first 5 years. And learn your craft and then get that license,
Mhm.
because that license, as Brad's saying, it just opens so many doors for you.
Mhm.
And even beyond just engineering. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not like they've never heard that statement before. In,
Yeah.
I don't know, one of my classes or something. But I do understand. So there's so many opportunities at so many different contractors, and the general contractors of the world hit these students up pretty hard, and it doesn't occur that maybe the professional license is a way to stand out 10 years from now, 20 years from now.
Yeah.
Right, but I just assure you that it is.
yeah.
Hey, just a quick second here. We've been talking for quite a while here. I didn't know if any of you that are online. I'm just going to pause, see if any of you have a question or anything. If you do, turn on your camera so that I can see you on the Zoom call, so that I know I need to call on you. And I definitely want you to, because just so Tom, so you know, most of the class is not construction engineering students. There's a whole lot of mechanical engineers and industrial and electrical that may not get harped on quite as much as these guys do, with regards to, be a PE, get your PE license. Does consulting world is a good profession, and those types of things. So, if any of you do have questions, be sure to interrupt, because I'd love to have you interrupt and instead of waiting and then forgetting your question and whatever. All right, because that's the whole point, is to make this as interactive as possible. All right. Now, while those on Zoom are thinking about it, did you two have any questions while I paused here?
What time frame? I know you said 5 years after you graduate to take your PE license or whatever, but is it wise to take it right out of college, or should you wait a certain amount of
Well,
time?
so the licensing laws have changed.
Yeah, they have.
Quite
They
a
have
bit.
quite
And
a
so from what I understand now, you can take the test whenever. It's just you have to have that 4 year. It's actually 4 years. Is 4 years, like 48 months of full-time employment under a PE.
Okay.
And so
Now, notice that's an important requirement.
yeah.
You have to be working under the supervision of someone with a professional engineering license.
Interesting.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and so and that's key. So wherever, if you're going to get your PE, wherever you go, you got to make sure there's a PE that's supervising your work.
Gotcha. I didn't know that.
It's going to be really hard to get a license if there's no PE at the company that you're working at.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
in
it probably
fact,
won't happen.
In fact, we've hired people that have left where they were at because they figured that out after the fact
After
that
the
they were
fact.
dead ended. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Good to know.
important deal. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But
But-
correct me if I'm wrong, but there's 2 exams, right? One that is advised to take and during your last semester of college, and then
That's the fundamentals of
Yeah.
engineering.
Okay.
exam.
FE.
Yes,
and then you
absolutely.
take your PE exam that 48 months or
Right.
4 years after. Okay.
So I'm gonna
Okay.
beg a little bit of ignorance because that was a relatively recent change, and I'm not as in tune with.
That's what. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm not either. Okay, you have to understand. For us, taking the PE exam was very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had to wait 4 years out.
Yeah.
All right. It had to be on one of 2 different days during the year.
Yeah. Fall or they had a October and I think it was in April.
April,
day-
because it was always right before Visha or on the weekend of Visha. It was
Oh.
terrible,
Yeah.
right? So
That doesn't exist now.
well,
so-
it doesn't exist now,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed Visha, and anyway may not have studied as much as perhaps I should have.
Yeah.
But I still took the exam that Saturday, and then
Celebrated
passed
Iowa
it.
State.
Did you ever attend Visha though inside the bowels of a float?
Ooh, inside the bowels of a float. No, I did not.
I have.
You have.
I moved an arm.
You moved an arm and a float. As far as there is proof on the internet, I was never at a Visha ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
Right? There's a whole class of them trying to find out if there's any proof that I was at a riot.
Not to digress too much,
Yes.
but boy,
That's
thank God there's no iPhones or internet or anything when you're in college.
Oh my god.
Oh, this seems to be an ongoing point of contention, right?
There is no evidence
There is no
digitally.
evidence. There is absolutely no evidence. And,
Oh jeez.
I offered extra credit for anyone that could prove that I was ever at a Visha riot. Nobody's collected on that, even though I know they're scouring. They're like, oh, I got to look up. There's like one picture of the 88 riots, right? It's really grainy.
Yeah.
Can't see anybody.
If you look at that one guy right behind the torn down light post,
Yeah,
behind that black car that's on fire,
yeah.
it looks really close to. Never mind.
That was not me. That was not me. That was. It was probably not me. Anyway,
All right, all right.
I look different now, anyways.
Yeah.
Well, hey, since again this is a legal class, I want to point out there's a lesson in all that.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
that everything is discoverable.
Everything.
So one of the first things engineers at our firm learn is that when you're sending correspondence via email, there's certain things you can and certain things you can't say in emails because emails are discoverable. And guess what? So is instant messaging. So is texts. So you'd be amazed at how quickly they'll collect your phone and collect your computer.
Yeah.
In the middle of a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So the good rule is never put anything in an email or a text that you would
that's a rule.
that you wouldn't feel comfortable reading aloud to everybody you've ever known.
in a or a jury.
Or a jury. Or a jury. All right.
Either or.
All right, here, let's pause here. Kaylin wants to weigh in on something, or at least ask a question. Kaylin, you want to go ahead and chime in?
Yeah, I guess was just wondering if there's any advice you have for like marketing yourself to a consulting firm out of college.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I got some, but go ahead.
Okay. I'll tell you, I mean, a couple of things. You know what? One of the first things I look at is how well-rounded your resume is. I'm interested in people that are interesting people, because consulting engineering is more than just sitting down and designing.
Oh, yeah.
There's you are, you know, anything that can kind of demonstrate your ability to work in an organization, work in a community, and be involved. Those kind of things really look good for a consulting firm. Yeah, you know what? It's important that you study hard. I mean, yes, the whole thing about having like a threshold in terms of GPA, that's a real thing. You know, you want to pay attention in class. You want to, you know, even when you got teachers as boring as Brad, you got to just still go.
Thank you.
So, you know.
Yeah, you got to still go anyway. Yeah, that's thank you for throwing that in there. That's good.
But no, but I think those kind of things in your resume, spend time crafting your cover letter. And I'm going to tell you right now, don't use AI because I can sniff them out. So, but yeah, spend time crafting your cover letter, because that's really, some of this advice is really old, but it still works.
Still applicable.
Because you know what, when we're flipping through resumes, especially resumes that you drop off during a career fair. You know, what we do as a firm is we'll go through, and we are very interested in interns. We'll actually overhire interns and just make sure, because we got plenty of work, and because that to us is the best way to find out about an individual. Also, it's the best way for an individual to find out about a firm, is when you're working with them. Co-ops, internships, those things are wonderful.
They are. Absolutely. Can't agree more. And since we've got so many mechanical and electrical engineers out there, look, if you're looking for I know other departments don't push internships as much as we do in the Connie program. All right. They hear
Thankfully
about
you
it
do.
too much. Yeah. I mean, they probably hear about it too much. I'm like, all right, I got someone just emailed me looking for an intern. Who's looking to hire? And they look at me like, we all got jobs. We don't care. Would you shut up? you know, but what I'm saying is if any of you in 380 this spring, if you don't have a job doing something related to the field that you want to be in, and if that field would happen to be mechanical or construction or anything, let us know, because all of our Connie students have internships, and I still get tons of job postings.
I still have 2 openings in our Des Moines office.
All right,
Yeah,
right.
just
Yeah,
FYI.
Yeah, actually, sorry.
Go ahead, Kaylin. Kaylin's like,
No, I actually interviewed with KEDbluestone this year, but I ended up taking an internship somewhere else. So.
What?
ouch!
I was trying to see if you
Oh, she outed herself.
Oh,
no.
Keelan, that one could have been left
Ow.
unsaid.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
one-
that could have been
Yeah, I
left
know.
unsaid.
Thought I'd be honest here.
To be honest here, Kaylin's like, well, Tom, we looked at your resume,
Brad, do
and
you
I
have any-
just
do you
didn't
have any-
like it.
Do you have any Kleenex? My
Yeah,
eyes are
Kleenex.
watering.
Ouch, ouch. Who'd you interview with?
But
Who'd you talk to?
well, actually, I scheduled the interview, but I didn't do it because I had a short timeline from the other offer, so I had to accept it.
Okay. Now, hold on a second, Kaylin. You need a little. You obviously need a little bit of coaching here. All right. If what time of the year did you get this internship job offer?
This fall.
No, but I mean, what month? Was it September?
October.
I think October.
I remember you now.
Oh,
Yeah.
Kaylin's on.
I
the do
didn't
not hire
talk to you,
list
but I
now.
remember
All
the
right,
discussion.
Kaylin, if a company is telling you as an intern, it's like, hey, we offered you this job, but it has a really narrow window. They're full of crap, Kaylin. They are trying to lock in their internship numbers as fast as they can.
Yeah.
And they are giving you a hard line, being like, gosh, this internship just won't be here unless you take it really quick. That is a bunch of crap. That is human resources. I'm going to pressure the students, And I see this a lot. I see this a lot, especially your intern here, Kaylin. When do you graduate?
Next winter, so December 2025.
December 2025. Okay. Hey, when you come back from that internship, let me tell you how this is going to go. If you've done a good job there, I mean, like, hey, Kaylin, great summer. Tell you what, we're going to give you a full-time offer here at the end of summer, but gosh, it's only good until like August 30th.
Conveniently, a couple weeks before the career fair.
Before the career fair.
I'm writing your name down, Kaylin, because I'm not going to let you finish summer without talking to me.
Exactly. All right.
Okay.
So, Kaylin, so here's the thing not to do. If a company is sitting here going, Kaylin, you've got to make a decision here really quick. You need to stand firm and say, you know what? I appreciate the opportunity. I'm going to be looking at all my options though, and I'm going to get back to you on that. You need to give them a time when you're going to. There is no reason a company is pressuring an intern in October for a summer job. They are doing it so that you don't talk to the other people on your list.
Yeah.
You don't get through the rest of your interview list. This is just I see the human resources of companies do this to students all the time, and they feel pressure. They're like, oh my gosh, maybe this offer will slip through my fingers. I won't have anything.
Well,
It's like,
Kaylin, was it a larger firm that you're working for?
No, it was KCL down West Des Moines.
I know those guys.
I know those guys. See, here in Iowa, we all know everybody.
I know
think
Chris
we all
really
know
well
everyone
over
knows
there.
each other,
So
Okay.
yeah. No, anyhow, but Brad's right. I mean, you gotta. For both internships, but also full time. Just my advice to you, any of you guys listening or in here, is just you take the time to research the companies, and do not get pressured into making a decision.
Do not.
And really spend time and the things you want to ask about. You want to make sure that it's a good fit for you personally.
Mm-hmm.
So ask about benefits, ask about things, there's certain things that a lot of you aren't going to really care about for another couple of years, like health insurance. But you want to pay attention to that.
Yes, you do.
Because at some point you're going to be off mom and dad's insurance and you're going to be on your own.
And hey, if you're like, wow, I got this offer and I don't even know what half this stuff means, for the love of God, find someone.
Yeah.
Whether that's an instructor, if you're in my class, the door's open, bring your offer, print it out, show it to me.
Yeah.
You should have someone in industry. Doesn't have to be me. There's tons of other faculty here that will help you out. But you need to have someone else look at it. You need to be prepared to negotiate. This cracks me up. I don't know how many times I've had a student where, they show me this offer. I'm thinking of one this last fall. They show me the offer and I'm like, no. They're offering you. I'm like, do you even know what the average Connie is getting as a graduate? And they're like, no, I don't. I'm like, well, professional HR representatives do. And they have offered you a below average offer before the career fair. That is a hard no, hard pass. Don't even consider it.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my Lord. But if I say no, will that upset them? I'm like, if it upsets them, they're jerks. You don't want to work there.
Yeah, and there's a lot of truth to that. You guys have so much information at your fingertips now.
Yeah, use it.
I mean, use it. You got great resources at Iowa State in terms of getting data, so you can make good data-driven decisions. And so, everything's negotiable. The only thing I'll tell you, if it's KEDbluestone offering you something, it's probably pretty rock solid. No, seriously, it's.
Tom, I'm surprised Tom is doing this podcast because there's been tons of people he's offered jobs to, and I'm like, oh yeah, we can negotiate this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
what?
Right. I work for them, not you. Sometimes I work for you, but when it comes to a job offer, I'm working for them. So you bring a job offer to one of your faculty, get some input.
And the other thing you want to look at too is don't get lured into, there is such a thing as bait and switch. And you can get a really nice offer, and you get into the firm, and then guess what? You're stuck for years. And
And you're
so,
doing something you didn't really want to be doing.
right. So it really, you have to do the research on the firms. You have to ask questions about the role. Again, why internships are so important, because you get to actually work in the environment, and you can ask questions. Don't you really want to understand, like, hey, okay, day one, great. What about 5 years from now? What about 10 years from now? What's my career progression? What am I going to be doing? What are the opportunities I have in the firm? Because you know what? Maybe I don't really know yet. I don't know if maybe I'm really going to be design driven, and I just want to be in the weeds on design. That's what I'm going to enjoy. Maybe I really like the people side of it, and I want to get more into client facing stuff and project management. Well, you know what? You're not going to know that when you haven't even started your full-time career yet.
Yeah.
So you want to find the firms that I mean, and there's a lot of good firms out there. I'm not going to, I don't bash any of my competitors, because I know, like Brad said, Des Moines, especially the Des Moines market, big small town. We all know each other. And so, and I have a lot of respect for my competitors. They're all, you know what? And every firm has a certain type of person that they're going to probably be good for. So I really can't say that there's one firm that, oh my God, don't go near them or anything, except KCL. No, I'm just kidding. Chris will hear me and give me a call.
Yeah. See, it's too small of a world. Kalen's going to go back, hey, this Tom Polis guy was saying, no, but here, something else to if you're interning and you're learning about a company, try to find out as much as you can with regards to how much turnover do they have.
Yeah.
Turnover tells you everything there is to know about the health and working environment in a company.
That's very true.
Turnover being with like the
Turnover,
employees.
yes.
Like what's a percentage of like churn that they have? And usually it's a percentage. Like if you have 100 employees and you have a 3% turnover, that means you lose 3 people annually.
Oh, and that percentage is annual?
Well, typically
whatever
it's annualized, but you can, like, a lot of times it's like 1.2 or something like that,
Okay. But if they won't tell you, that tells you a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Or if they start using phrases here, let me paraphrase some middle management things that have been said to me. Hey, are we worried about turnover here? Well, I think if you look at our turnover rate, it's very, very, very in line with industry averages.
Yeah.
Okay, you remember that particular? Wait, no, you'd already left. You'd already left the firm when I asked this of one of the principals in a meeting where people were getting fired and people were getting let go, and I asked this uncomfortable question, and
they didn't know how to handle
Oh
it.
yeah, I was long gone.
What's that?
I was long gone.
Yeah, you were long
Yeah,
gone.
I started the
He
trend.
started the turnover, right? And it just got worse and worse and worse. And then, we're having this meeting, and I'm like, when I came to work here, we had a very, very low turnover rate, and then now it seems to be getting quite high. I'm like, is anybody concerned about this?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, this is like, okay, I've told Tom this. I'm not a good employee anymore. I'm just not. Like say things. I'll say uncomfortable things in meetings that are true, but nobody really wants to hear, right? And this was one of them. Anyway, I got that response, and like half the people around me are like, "Oh, I can't believe he has that," And then I get the middle management answer about why it's not really a concern, and then after that meeting, I get the tap on the shoulder from the
HR department?
No, not HR. It wasn't HR. That's the tap of death. No, this was the senior principal owner. Hey, can I talk to you in the conference room by ourselves? And I'm like, sure.
It's going to be a party.
Let's have a party. But the thing is, they'd already had so many people leave that they couldn't afford to fire me. So I knew that going in.
It's interesting, and kind of about firm sizes too. There's pluses and minuses to big firms, pluses and minuses to small firms.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And a big firm, grants you a certain amount of anonymity.
Yeah.
You may not get a move up or grow as quickly, but you know what? If you're really more about, hey, I just want to get a job because you know what? I really enjoy ice fishing or whatever.
Ben, he's
Yeah.
talking to you.
You know, I mean, and not to say you can't enjoy ice fishing if you work for a small firm, but a small firm, you typically, because it's a small firm and it's more all hands on deck, you tend to progress a little bit quicker in terms of your skill development. And
I would agree.
yeah,
Having
and
worked for both, like
Right.
monstrous firm versus
because you're going to be working with
small.
you know, I mean, we're still a small firm at 70, but
Yeah.
but you know,
You're getting growing pains.
But I still, like, I sit right next to a person that's like 3 years out of school,
Yeah.
you know, and so we have a completely open environment. So I'll be out in the middle. I'll have my projects and my book of work that I run. And you know what? You just get that interaction that you typically wouldn't get in a more segregated environment that a lot of very large firms can become that way.
Yeah, I would agree. Having worked for a super large engineering firm, one of the largest in the world, you know, it's like you are a tiny, tiny, tiny little cog of a very, very big machine, and
Yeah.
you know the odds of you getting to any upper level is quite remote. Worked at a small firm where it's like you're doing everything, no matter what it is. You know, that could be emptying the trash basket at some point
Yeah.
too. Not bad either. You probably get more responsibility. Maybe not as interesting and as large of projects, but you get a larger percentage of it.
Yeah.
You know, more responsibility, and I did like that actually. You know,
You can number, well, we kind of started, you know, like when I was at that particular firm, which is now like over 2,000 people.
yeah,
I was, I think, employee 48 or something like that.
yeah.
And I remember how quickly that we progressed. You know, it was just like you were given as much as you can handle.
Facts, right? Like I got way more there than in just a short period of time than I ever would have at the monstrous worldwide design firm that I was in.
Yeah.
Where, you know, one of them I'm like, oh, I'm designing a designing a nuclear power plant. Yeah, it's actually quite boring.
Yeah.
You know, because you're such this tiny little part of such a monstrous thing. Whereas more difficult and more challenging engineering wise, for sure, would be where you're like the only engineer or, you know, one of two mechanical engineers on a
Yeah.
high-rise building in downtown Des Moines.
Yeah.
You know, and like Tom was project manager for, like, so I walked them through the Allied Insurance building.
Oh, yeah.
Nationwide.
Yeah.
You know, I talk
1100
about
Locust.
yeah, and I talk about he was project manager for that. You know, the one where they pump water across from the
From the parking
ramp
structure.
across the street,
Yep.
right? They gave me way too much responsibility for what my skill set was, right? I mean, they did. You know, I was like, oh crap!
We spent years fixing that stuff. That
Oh,
you
shut
designed.
up! That building was almost perfect. That was the.
It actually was. It
epitome of
was.
perfect.
It's a very good building.
Yes,
Very solid.
They wouldn't have hired him to do all their national stuff
Yeah.
if young engineer Brad Perkins screwed up their chiller plant. It just
That's
wouldn't
true.
have happened. I mean,
Yeah.
they wouldn't have. But what I'm saying is, I got more responsibility faster than some days I felt scared to do it. You know, I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh my Lord, I hope I did these numbers right. You
Yeah.
know? I
Th-
mean,
and that's where having a good coach and mentor is really critical, because you need to be able to say uncle to somebody.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, hey, I'm a little overwhelmed,
yep.
and that's okay. I got my daughter is a landscape architect,
Oh yeah.
and she works for a fairly large size firm, and that's always been. She gets very, you know, hey, they're going to give you as much as you can
You'll keep
handle, and
accepting.
probably more so.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you have to be the one that says, uncle, hey, too
Yeah.
much, you know.
But no, I mean, so I guess there's positives and negatives to both large companies, the small companies. But there's one last thing that as you're looking for a company to go work for, the thing that I did not appreciate as a student, and you'll probably agree with me on this, Tom, but is way more important than I ever thought, is company ownership.
Yeah.
How is ownership determined? Is it employee owned? How do you become one of the employee owners? Is it really an employee owned company, or is it a scam? How do I know if it's a scam or not? By scam, I mean where one or two people own so many shares that it doesn't matter how much the rest of the
Right.
people own. Okay, it makes you feel like you're an owner. You're not really.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it a partnership? Is it a family-owned company? All right, and that is a much longer conversation on what all those differences are. But let me tell you, employee ownership matters. Talk to if you're interning, perfect time to talk to other employees and ask them about ownership,
Yeah.
right? How is ownership determined? Who's the owner? Can I
Yeah.
become an owner? Do I want to become an owner?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't realize how important that was until I was in it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I would just throw that in there as you're looking at different companies. Figure out how they're owned and what your role is.
And there is different types, like when the typical employee owned is an ESOP, is what it's a type
Employee stock
of ownership
program.
and that's like where everybody has a piece of the pie. Like for example, Hy-Vee grocery stores. Everybody knows Hy-Vee. They're the largest employee owned grocery store in the world, I think.
I don't think I knew
probably,
they were
yeah.
employee owned. I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, they're employee owned.
I just got off
And
my
so,
shift
but
right
then
before this.
Huh? Oh, you work at Hy-Vee? There
Yeah.
you go.
Do you own any?
I don't know. I guess I gotta ask.
you need to ask. Yeah,
work-
Full time.
yeah,
employee.
you got to
Okay.
be full time.
Then no, I work there like 2 weeks a year. So.
Oh, well, then you're probably not an owner.
No.
No.
Okay.
Probably not considered full.
Yeah, but so then you got like companies, like a lot of companies, like are going to have like owner. You're going to be more closely held, where you're going to have fewer people that own all the shares in the company, and then as you grow in your career, and if that's like a route you want to go, then like what we tell our employees, it's like, hey, if that's a direction you want to go, then come talk to me or one of the senior partners, and then we'll sit down and kind of show what the roadmap to something like that looks like and what you should be working on.
Yeah.
And so there's a good company is going to help their employees achieve their goals, whatever that goal is.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just want to work 40. And our attitude is, if you want to work 40, perfect. Just give me a good solid 40 and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're looking to kind of really, move up in the business, if that's really what's driving you, then it's probably going to take more than 40.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then that's just the construction industry. I mean, because guess what? It's deadline driven. We don't get to control the deadlines.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get to control how people move the deadlines on us. It's like a piece of cheese that they hide.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
and so it's, but there is every company does it differently. So again, it kind of goes back to that earlier comment. Do your research.
Do
ask
your
questions.
research. Do your research.
When you're in an interview, it should be half the company interviewing you, half you interviewing the company.
Mm-hmm.
That's the right ratio.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I tell you what, honestly, I that is a criteria. If nobody asks me, if a person doesn't ask me questions and they're just sitting there, it's like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's at least something to look at. Then if
Yeah.
you have people that you're like, oh, they have really similar
Yeah.
resumes, really similar people skills. It's like, who feels like they cared a little bit more? Who was,
Yeah,
who was
yeah.
involved?
I mean, I always tell people, it's like, and this is not a very popular thing nowadays, but I want people that want to work there forever.
Yeah.
To me, it's like, I don't want you to leave. I want you to find, and we have a lot of, I mean, yeah, the turnover thing, fortunately, ours is pretty darn low. So that means we have a lot of people that have like 5-year, 10-year, 15-year, 20-year anniversaries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what he's
So-
saying is they're my age.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. Like
Yeah.
I worked with half the people. Well, not anymore. Not half.
Well, I mean, Rich Larson and
Yeah.
myself.
Okay,
And then,
I was in Rich Larson's wedding,
Nice.
right? Rich Larson is the first guy I met at Iowa State.
Hmm.
We sat together at graduation.
He's
He
one of my
works-
partners,
He works
so.
there.
Wow.
And then Brian
Awesome.
Keith, the guy that we merged with.
Yeah.
Their firm, Brian and I have known each other we started our careers together, met on a job site when he was graduating from Bradley. And then, and hell, our kids have grown up and we've gone on vacations together. And then,
That's cool.
it's interesting the relationships you develop in this
Well,
business.
it is, and I can't stress that enough. How small of a world it is. I know, my students have heard this multiple times, but it is just a small world. Your professional reputation is everything.
Mhm.
You are your professional reputation for all practical purposes, and you need to guard it like you would anything else of value.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about this a couple of times, like with the attorney last week. we talked
Your
about
reputation starts now.
how the reputation starts now.
Mhm.
Your
Yeah.
reputation starts now. So,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Kayla, one of the questions that one of you asked was about interviewing and, with design firms and stuff.
Mhm.
Well, here a few, I think it was maybe Kaylin online asked that question. So a few, oh gosh, it's been pre-COVID, so it's been a while. But one of my capstone students wanted to move to North Carolina and get a job there, and he wanted to get a job in the design world. And he convinced one of the North Carolina design firms who had no idea what construction engineering was, right? Never heard of it. They're like, well, we don't do construction. He's like, I don't want a construction job. I want a design job. They're like, okay, but you need to have an engineering license. And he's like, yes, my degree is, my degree. And they're like, well, I don't know. We'll interview you. Yeah, you're coming out here. He was going out there for spring break or something, or I can't remember what it was. He had family out there, I think. And they're like, okay, we'll interview you. All right. And so he's like, okay, what do I do to get ready for this interview in a design firm? And he had in that particular semester, Tom, this may have even been one of the semesters you were teaching. Did you do a capstone project that had like it was like a fitness center with a pool and everything? Was that one of yours?
No, I had the brewery.
The brewery. Okay. It was just before you got there then.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a fitness center with a pool and the whole thing. And for capstone, just like Connie 352, I make them do a notebook, a lot of hand calculations or on Excel, but anyway,
Spelled out.
That was a semester before I taught.
Oh,
and
okay.
where I helped out on the mechanical on the capstone.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Oh,
I do
okay,
remember
cool.
that. Yeah.
All right. Well, what I did was I told this guy, I'm like, hey, take your design notebook for the capstone. Take it there. He goes, okay. I go, and then here's what you do. You take all these hand calculations and the hand plotted psych chart, right? Here's what you do. If you're interviewing with someone my age or close to my age, you show them your notebook, when it talks about what did you learn during your career, you show them the notebook, and then you moan and bitch up a storm about this guy that made you do these by hand, right? This grouchy old sumbitch made me plot a psych chart by hand and do all this by hand. And then I said, you just complain about me like crazy. And he's like, wait, well, hold on. You want me to complain about you in the interview? Trust me. Okay.
That's not hard.
Exactly. By this point, well, by the
Tom's
time
gonna drop this
Yeah,
strategy for
yeah,
his.
yeah.
for his interview.
So anyway, so I said, just trust me. Complain about how he wouldn't let you use any computer programs and you had to plot the psych chart by hand and the whole thing. Okay. So he goes out there. He comes back, goes, oh my God, it worked. He goes, I was talking to them and they were like, these guys were like, yeah, that's the way it should be done. Yeah, you had to plot. Let me see that, and looks at the psych chart and all the calcs. He goes, yeah, that's awesome. That's the way it should be done. That's what everybody should have to learn is on hand. And he goes, I go, so what happened? He goes, I got a job offer while I was there.
Oh,
Wow.
No.
Oh, wow.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I was like, I figured as much.
You know what? And not to, I got a pin here to pop your head.
Oh
after I say
no!
this.
Oh God! Now listen.
But it is helpful with you and Jenny, the people you turn out, that they do have a little more of the practical skill set that we don't have to. I mean, you guys know how to use psych charts.
Mhm.
You know how to you know how to do lighting calcs. You know how to use all the the software is important, but to me, software is useless unless you have an intuition as to what the answer should be.
No
And
way.
the only way
Did
you
you pay him?
develop
Yeah.
Be honest. Did you
Say
pay
I
him?
did not
He
pay him
did.
to say that.
The
Say
only-
that again, Tom.
the only way you have to have an intuition as to what the actual answer is going to be, and the only way you develop intuition is by actually calculating it. You don't get it from just running stuff through your saw. I mean, I've seen so many loads calculated by people that they run the load calc. Here it is. It's like, well, that's just. And I'm an electrical engineer, and that's freaking impossible. That's not right.
Yeah.
And then
Are you saying that all a computer program would do is help you get to a wrong answer faster?
you know what? good garbage in, garbage out is all I'm going to say.
No way. Wow. That is the craziest.
You know, and the scary thing is,
I
is
have
that
to use that in a class sometime.
you know, when they're the development as AI develops and they get it integrated more with like platforms like Revit and those type of things. The scary thing is,
Oh, yes.
that, you know, we're going to have a whole generation of engineers potentially that just will trust the AI.
Yeah, that's not good.
And what do AIs do sometimes?
Mess up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they hallucinate.
Be wrong.
So, you know, it's really important to, yeah, it's tedious, it sucks. But it's important that you have that intuition developed, or else it's going to be really hard to, you know, sometimes you just don't know, and you just have to have a sense. Did you ever work with Sam?
Sam, which Sam?
Ray. No, he probably retired.
He
before you.
retired just before I got there.
Well,
Right.
Sam we'd go, and I wasn't a mechanical, but I could play one on TV, and I would go in and listen to the mechanical engineers in my projects talk to them about something. They'd go through all the calcs and stuff, and Sam would have a cigarette, and he'd literally
he
this guy
literally still smoked.
literally we had an
Nice.
employee manual that said no smoking allowed in the firm. And then there was an asterisk next to it. And you go down, and the asterisk, I'm not making this up.
No.
This is literally the way it was
Did it say
written.
except for
It said Sam Ray can smoke in the office. So he would go around.
He was one of the original four principals.
He literally
Oh, there you
lit
go.
my garbage can on fire because
Oh my
he threw a
gosh.
cigarette. But
Cigarette.
yeah, he did, that's not a single occurrence, but he's done that multiple times.
Oh, wow.
And so,
Wow.
so anyway, but he
That's
would
awesome.
sit there with a cigarette in his mouth, you know, he'd kind of like, you know, I think it's going to be 50 tons. And the guy's like, 50? How did you come up with that? And I mean, I did all this. It took me a day, and I was like 48.2, and yeah, it's 50 tons. And it's like, you know, and so everybody was
That's
just like, how did
impressive.
he do that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like, well, he's done it so many times. He just
Yeah.
knew it's like, it's like so many tons a square foot. And
Well,
Wow.
that, but you know enough to know. I guess here's the engineering judgment, right? There's all these per square foot basis and all this other
yeah,
stuff.
but he's done it. Yeah.
But you know, by able to look at a building where you're like, okay, this building has a lot of glass facing south, so whatever that average is, I know I better be above it,
Right.
right? Or this one has windows like Town Engineering, which is almost none,
Yeah.
and
Better be
then
below
I better be
average.
below it.
Yeah.
You know, and like these, like for my students on their final projects, I have them put on there all that CFM per square foot per ton, BTU per hour per square
Yeah.
foot. And they're like, well, what number should it be? I'm like, no, that's not for you. You know, you're a student. You know, how many times I say that's meaningless for you.
Mhm.
I don't want you designing to a number or a ratio. That's for me. So that as I look at it, I'm like, okay, this is a little different than what I was thinking. Why?
Mhm.
And then then I get a chance to look at, all right, what are the glass percentages and how many
Yeah.
people are in there and how much ventilation do they have and, you know, go on. But this is why engineering is a practice.
Mhm.
This is why the PE exam matters. This is why getting the experience necessary to have the license, it's not about the test, to be honest. Nobody cares about the test.
Yeah.
Right? It's really the experience part. And have you seen enough different things that you're like, okay, this makes sense, or something seems
Yeah.
wrong here.
Yeah.
Exposure is really important. Like
is.
here's a good interview question you should ask for a firm if you're going and ask them, okay, what do you guys do to give me different exposures to different types of systems as I'm progressing through my early part of my career? Or am I just going to get pigeonholed to, you know, I'm going to work on Aldi stores,
Mhm.
Yeah.
you know, 24/7, you know, or
Yeah, that is a legit fear.
yeah.
I mean, not all these stores. What I'm saying is pigeonholed to the point where you're doing the exact same thing
Over and over.
again.
Yeah.
Let me
And
give you
so-
how extreme this can be. In the monstrously monstrous worldwide design firm I was at, there was the one guy that was an expert at pipe hangers, at
Yeah.
Really?
designing seismic pipe hangers. He was probably the
Fun.
world-renowned expert on seismic
That's
pipe
all he
hangers,
did.
and
Oh
that's
my
all
gosh.
he did. That is all he did.
And so in a larger firm, you have a higher risk of getting
Yes,
pigeonholed.
because it's
Yeah.
efficient.
In a smaller firm, you tend not to.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there's exceptions to both, but
Yeah.
but to me so to me it's like ask, hey, so how do you My first 3 or 4 years, what's that going to look like in terms of the type of projects and the diversity of projects that I get to work on?
Mm-hmm.
That's to me, it's an important question that never gets asked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
How do you think that you should, like, what would be like our next step if they answer that question with well, it's kind of dependent on like what you want, like we're flexible, whatever. Do you think that we take that at face value and that's actually
well, you know, to me, it's some good follow-up questions. Is how am I going to am I going to be assigned a mentor, like a senior engineer? How does my training work? How do I get assigned projects? You know, what are you guys doing to ensure that I'm developed holistically as a mechanical engineer, as a case may be? You know, to make sure that I'm learning things. You know, that I'm not just stuck doing one thing. You
Okay,
know,
that's hilarious to me because when I worked for you, I don't think you could have answered any of those.
seriously?
At the first firm we were at together, there was no training plan.
There actually wasn't. You got stuck. You just
listen to this
yeah,
guy.
you did.
Right. Hey, but let's cut him some slack. In 30 years, he's learned how to run a business by seeing a lot of it ran wrong.
Yeah, that's yeah. Yeah, you know what? You learn by screwing up and
Yeah,
doing the
you
wrong
do.
thing.
learn from your
so-
mistakes,
Your,
right?
your
Yeah,
mistakes,
yeah.
right? Experience is the best teacher, and the best experience is making mistakes. What is the phrase? A calm seas never made a good sailor.
Yeah, and you know what? And I'll tell you. So here's something we tell our engineers and we tell our clients is that every building you work on, and I don't care if you're stuck doing Aldi stores, every building you work on is a different building. It's a beta.
Yeah.
It's never been built before. Because even if you're designing Aldi stores, guess what? You got to put them in different cities, different climates, there are
Different
different
codes?
site conditions, different codes, you name it. And so every building is basically a beta. And so, you know, and to engineers is human, and so is to err is human. So you're going to make mistakes. The key thing is that you learn from them, and that's what we tell. It's just like just don't repeat the same mistake once. Just make new ones. You know.
Good advice.
Yeah.
So and that happens. So and that's the other thing too, because you got to make sure that mentorship and that training, everything's kind of in place to kind of you know, you don't want to scare people out of the business, and that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do get to the point where you're like, yeah, maybe I do need a change.
Yeah,
Maybe I do.
which is fine. I mean, and there's people that just this isn't the right industry for them, and I get that. Not really. How could anybody not like our industry?
I do. I will say the thing I like most about being a design engineer and being a consulting engineer is that you've thought about it and done the calculations, and then to see something built.
Yeah.
It's been in your head for, by the time you get to a project, maybe you've been thinking about a mechanical or a building or whatever it is. You've been thinking about it for months, maybe years sometimes. And now you get to see it built, and you're like,
It's cool.
I get that.
That all came straight from, my vision, my design, my calculations, and I know more about this than anyone on the planet. That's pretty cool.
There's a
stuff.
good sense of pride there.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. It's cool stuff.
I don't know. To me, it's 2 days are never alike.
No, they're not.
It's not and honestly, it's really not a desk job. I mean, early on, yeah, you're probably going to be stuck in the office more than not. But if you got a good mentor, they're going to take you out in site quite a bit, take you to meetings, give you exposure.
And then you learn that engineering calculations is like really only a tiny part of the job.
It is.
Most of it's actually communication.
It is. It is.
Technical skill is important, but I would have to say the ones that are going to do well in consulting world are the ones that are good communicators.
Yeah, it's all about communication for sure.
Hey, quick question. Just want to see if there's any Kaylin or anyone else had any. All right. Well, wait, no, we're not talking to Kaylin because she worked for KCL. So.
Oh, Kaylin, you can talk.
Okay. All right. Fine. All right. I didn't know if she had any follow-up questions. Otherwise, we've got to get to Vinny and his case study of Big Blue and the collapse there. But before that, is there any questions for Tom here?
Just don't shun me for working for KCL.
No, we're not. See, you can't. See, that's just short-sighted if they would, because the Des Moines market is so small. There's a decent chance you might be working for them sometime in the future, or them working for you, or some joint project. I mean, you just never know. It's too small of a world.
Yeah, it is. You know what? I will tell you that they're a good firm. You didn't do anything wrong by going with them. They played a dirty trick on you, though.
Yeah, they did. But that's an HR trick. That's not really a human. All right, so Kaylin, next fall, don't fall for that. You're like, nope, I need to talk to some other people.
Yeah, I'll give you 48 hours to make a decision.
Exactly. Yeah. Listen. Oh, so generous, Tom. Good call. All right. So, Kaylin, you all right? So, start building here. Actually, in all seriousness, as you're interning and you're working with other people, this is an awesome chance. Wait, do you want to stay in the Des Moines area as a design engineer, Kaylin?
Yeah.
Okay. Then this summer is a great chance for you to learn who are the people I need to talk to come fall.
Yeah.
Right? Who's the competition to KCL? Who's the people they do projects with? Are you electrical or mechanical? You're mechanical, right?
Mechanical, yeah.
Yep. Okay. This is your chance. Also, in the fall, in the spring, you should join MCA.
True.
Right? Okay. You absolutely need
Shameless.
to join. No, it's not shameless.
No, I'm
It's good
kidding.
for
I'm
her.
kidding.
Because look who we have.
Don't
in the
listen to
meeting.
Vinny.
Yeah, don't listen to Vinny.
I'm just giving
right?
you crap.
Right?
Yeah.
Listen, listen to Anna, who goes to meetings. It's like we're gonna have design engineers. We're gonna have equipment reps. We're gonna have contractors. We're gonna have a little bit of everybody with regards to mechanical there. You should join MCA and learn as much as you can before they hit you with that high pressure job offer on like August 15th. Hey, Kaylin, it'd be really good for you if we work this out before classes start.
It's now or never.
Right? That's the code words for.
Now we're
Hey,
They're-
Kaylin, this is really funny, and you're going to have to help. I know Chris, the president over at KCL. It'd be really funny if you invited me over to their office. We could do an interview using one of their conference rooms.
Oh, yeah.
that would be hilarious.
Oh. Right, we're getting Kaylin. We're getting her starting offer. It just keeps going up. All right, Kaylin's like, oh, I like these tactics. All right. All right, did you hear all
Yeah,
that,
write
Kaylin?
it down.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, he's not kidding, by the way.
I'm not.
He would absolutely do it. I know he would.
I would.
Yeah, he would.
He
And
might
it'd be
organize
fun.
it himself.
Yeah, he
for
might
this.
just show up.
I have before.
Hey, is Kaylin the intern here? Oh, yeah, we had a meeting.
Yeah.
All right, Kaylee, do you have some questions?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask if you could kind of like summarize or like give a sales pitch of like why you chose consulting engineering. Maybe it's an experience unique to me, but like I didn't really hear much about consulting engineering as a career path until like this last fall. So I just like what
Okay.
drew you into this? Like what was your initial, I guess, pathway to what you do?
So give me
now?
some context. Are you a Connie?
I'm mechanical.
Okay, mechanical. Good. Okay,
Yeah.
So I'm an electrical. I'm a Coover Hall electrical. I didn't go through Connie when I graduated.
Which
And
means
so-
he's not as good as us.
Okay.
Hold
I'm
on.
kidding.
Non-biased
No, I'm
opinion from
kidding.
Brad.
I'm
So
kidding.
my emphasis, I had a power emphasis. So I interned for and I was interviewing with utility companies. And like you, I had no idea what a consulting engineering firm was. And so I had I'd already gotten 2 offers from 2 different utility companies, and I got an interview with this firm called Black and Veatch down I met them at a career fair down in Kansas City, and they explained to me kind of what a consulting engineering firm was, and I was like, oh, maybe I should look and see the interview schedule, see if there's other consulting engineering firms. That's when I saw the firm that Brad and I used to work for. They were interviewing, so I ended up getting an offer from Black and Veatch, and then I interviewed with this firm, and this firm at the time was by far the smallest company. They also had the lowest offer, and
They did that to me too. Anyway, go ahead.
yeah, they had the lowest offer, and in their sales pitch to me was, basically pretty simple. It was just like, hey, you know what? We're gonna work your ass off. You're gonna work 45, 50 hours. This is back in the 80s, keep in mind. And, 45, 50 hours a week, but you're going to learn really fast. I guarantee you that after 4 years, you'll know more than most people after 8 that went to these other firms that you went to, because we're going to let you you're going to learn as quickly as you can, and we're probably going to push you a little bit. And then, and you're going to have these opportunities to do this, to lead projects. This is the kind of work we do. They worked on hospitals and universities and all this. And I just said, sign me up. I love this kind of challenge. And so for me, the reason I picked a consulting engineering firm is I wasn't looking for an 8 to 5 desk job where I just clock in and clock out and go home. And, I couldn't binge watch anything at the time because
Streaming services
Yeah,
don't exist.
yeah, there's-
streaming
yeah,
services
service
didn't exist. I mean, cable
Right.
barely existed. But I'd go and...
He's older than me. See,
Yeah.
they make fun of me. Right? These
So,
guys-
but it was kind of fun. It was just like I was motivated to work hard because I felt like, boy, if I'm going to do this as a career, I want to learn everything about it. And I'm telling you, if you want to be an engineer, that is the right place to go. And the reason I didn't, the utility company that I interned for that offered me a job, I would come into work as an intern, and my supervisor would almost every day I'd go in there like to get my assignment, and me and my partner would go out in our truck and do whatever we needed to do in the field or whatever. He'd always be reading Field and Stream. And I would always look at that and say, I really don't want to get a job where I go into the office and read magazines because I don't have anything to do.
Yeah.
If I'm going to go, spend 4.5 years of my life getting a degree, I want to do something with it.
Yeah.
And so that I was pretty motivated. And it was kind of one of those things. Once you drink the Kool-Aid, it was just like, man, I didn't even turn back. I did try design build for 3 years. And I did work for a good design build firm, and I left to start my own firm, not because it was a bad job or anything. I loved the owner. If I told you their name, everybody would recognize it. Great leadership, great firm. I'd never say anything negative about them. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be involved in the design. I wanted the client contact. I wanted to help people through those decisions. And I found that I couldn't do that in that role. So anyhow, did that answer your question, or do you want me to go into anything specific?
No, I mean, that's good. I think that's
Yeah.
helpful.
And Kaylee, you should also join MCA this next fall.
We can all hang out.
Exactly.
worry.
Yeah.
We got a lot of people here.
MCA ASHRAE is important too. ASHRAE is important.
I'm an ASHRAE.
Okay, good.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you two for chiming in on those questions.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, Vinny. Okay. Let's get to it. You
All
want
right.
me to pull up that video?
Yeah, I think we should start with the video.
Okay. So Vinny's going to talk about the Big Blue crane collapse.
What we got here is a video. OSHA is on site already for this project for other incidents that have happened that I'll talk about later. But right now they're lifting a section of the retractable roof of the Brewers Stadium. It's about 450 tons. Heavy.
Like very heavy.
Very, very heavy. So they have this massive crane. It's actually 2 cranes put together with a thing called a stinger, which is just like a steel structure that kind of connects them. This is their 9th lift of the roof so far, 9th or 10th. Now in the video, some creaking can be heard, and then the crane goes down along with the section of the roof. And so you can see cranes and side impacts don't fare very well. They kind of just crumple up like a toy, it looks like, which is really eerie to see something that big just fall over, kind of limp. So yeah, after you watch that video, that's the situation that I'm talking about. So yeah, basically this is one huge crane made of 2 cranes sitting 100 feet from each other, connected by a steel structure. Yeah, this is the 10th out of 30 lifts that would be needed to erect the entire roof. Big retractable part of the roof, 450 tons, like we said. The first 9 lifts have gone to plan, no injuries or anything. But between the first and the second lifts, there's a 17-day delay in the schedule. and there were contractor penalty clauses for being late. The stadium was not open for the 2000 baseball season. So, pressure there from the contractor trying to get everything erected, and they've already had a lot of delays. So on this day, multiple iron workers, and including the crane operator, have expressed concerns about the wind and the load for this lift. No wind calculations were done the day of the lift, like you should do. So after the lift, they calculated that only 11 mile per hour wind gusts were viable to still do the lift, and actual wind gusts that day reached 30 miles per hour, so almost 3 times the rated load that it could handle. So yeah, very bad, very bad. So basically this case, the plaintiffs were the widows of 3 iron workers named Jeffrey Wisher, William DeGrave, and Jerome Starr versus a company called Lamson International Ltd., which were responsible for the crane, and then Mitsubishi Heavy Industries. This is a wrongful death suit that happened in 2000. So the plaintiffs introduced more evidence after the collapse that this guy named Victor Grotlish, who is the site supervisor for Mitsubishi, unplugged the construction site's weather computer in an effort to not have a record of the wind and everything and the conditions, because they just wanted to get stuff done. They wanted to keep going. They had another site supervisor before this that actually got fired for delaying work when conditions weren't safe. So yeah, there's a lot going on here that kind of impacted
Mitsubishi had
this.
fired a different.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they wanted that guy off the site because he kept pushing work back. Obviously for viable reasons. He's not just like, oh, I don't feel like lifting today. Like that doesn't happen. So yeah, all of that combined with the excessive load of the crane, I think it was 97% of the crane's rated capacity that they were using. So very critical lift. I mean, it is just insane, the stuff I read about this. So yeah, just the weight itself, along with the wind gust, just caused the crane to collapse, hit the side of the building, and then go down. Yeah, there was another crane holding a man basket underneath this big crane. There were 3 iron workers in it, so that was struck. And then those 3 men fell 200 feet and died. So those were the ones that the widows were suing the companies for. After that, OSHA found that the number of workers in that man basket, the 3 people, that was too many that even needed to be doing the task anyway. So there's another thing there. And then, yeah, OSHA was already on site for some incidents, including an employee falling about 80 feet, but he survived because he hit an occupied scaffold. But the person that fell got back to work pretty quick, but the person that he hit in the scaffold when he came down got put on disability after that. Another incident, a grinding wheel bounced off of a surface being smooth and hit the user in the leg. And then another one, a 25-ton roof section shifted in a sling and broke a man's leg. And then the last incident they were there for is an explosion occurred while a heater was being lit, which burned 2 employees. So OSHA was lighting up this job already.
Okay, yeah.
Hence the reason they have the video of all this stuff going down. So
are you saying that was an OSHA worker videotaping that lift?
I'm pretty sure it was.
Oh,
I thought it was.
that's a bad day.
That is a bad day.
So
It's a bad day.
things are already very bad on the site. Things have gone wrong before. And obviously firing the guy that was trying to make the site more
The
safe.
The guy that's pulling the plug for safety is fired?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, one of the reasons he did that is because some of the days, the gravel underneath the crane wasn't stable enough to, hold it and everything. So, very
Legit
viable.
reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
remember what I said about engineering ethics and how similar they are to a contractor safety program?
mm-hmm.
They will not, in the short term, make you friends.
Yeah.
Like that guy that got fired. Short term, he's probably a senior guy. This is one of the biggest projects in the state. He's fired. Not a good day, not a good thing to put on his resume. However, way better to put that there than what happened next. But go ahead, keep going.
Yeah. So, this happened in July of 1999, and the case finally got decided on December 1st of 2000, so a year and a half later.
That's actually fast.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
it's very fast.
I'm
I was
actually
gonna say.
surprised it was
crazy.
that fast.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, that is lightning speed.
That is very fast.
There was a
Get
lot
the
of
suits all filed.
Man,
and-
I'm surprised they even got through depositions that fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
really. Well, in
Yeah.
my head, the jury seemed pretty mad about it because there's a lot of punitive damages.
Oh yeah, see
that I'll get
that is
to.
the thing. That, after our discussion last week about punitive damages,
Mhm.
right? Just go ahead and read off what the damages were awarded there, and yeah, I found that interesting. Keep going there, Vinny.
Yeah, all right. So after the 7-week trial, the jurors awarded
7-week trial. That's rough jury duty to pull,
Yeah, yeah. It's 2
right?
months.
That's probably part of the reason for all the punitive damages. They're like,
Yeah.
somebody's
Yeah.
paying because we're pissed.
So Mitsubishi was found to be 97% negligent in its operations, most likely due to its failure to properly monitor wind speed during the attempted lift. And then Lamson International was found to be 3% negligent. So as far as damages, this Victor Grotlish guy that I mentioned before, nor any other employee was mentioned in the lawsuits. It was just toward the companies.
And Victor was the one that pulled the weather
Yeah,
plug. Okay.
which
See, now
is
here's
crazy.
something. Here's something I want you to keep in mind. In 1999, it noted in there he didn't get any criminal charges, right?
yeah.
I'm willing to bet, and Tom, I don't know, yeah, I mean, I know you're not a lawyer, but in today,
How do you know?
that's a good point. Maybe you've been going to night school and not telling me. All right. Well, maybe Tom is okay. This is a good point for a disclaimer I should have said earlier. If you need legal advice, please consult an actual attorney. Do not get your legal advice from a podcast. Anyway,
There we go.
all right. But here's the thing that I would say is that today, I think they would have been flirting with actual criminal charges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would say I'm shocked that there wasn't any criminal.
I am
charges.
shocked that there wasn't any criminal charges with the deaths and the willful negligence that borders on criminal negligence. I think that would be different today. I don't know that. Well, nobody knows for certain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until it happens
it's
and until
litigated.
somebody at the district attorney level gets some evidence. So,
What was it? What was the damages? I guess?
okay, yes. Now, get to the damages award
Yeah.
because this is
All right.
fascinating.
So the jurors awarded $1.4 million to each of the widows for pain and suffering, as well as $350,000 apiece for loss of companionship. And then in addition,
Okay, yeah, here. Okay, so far,
So like $1.8 million.
yeah, times 3.
yeah,
Okay,
and then
and then
get ready for this. Strap.
there we
in.
go.
Okay. Mitsubishi was ordered to pay punitive damages to the 3 women in the amount of $94 million.
For each woman?
No, that was
That's
total. That was
total.
total, but
Still.
still, right? The entire
Yeah.
real damages were like $5-6 million bucks,
Mhm.
and the punitive ones were $94
Okay.
million
And now
bucks.
keep in mind, this was 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you think about the inflation and then
look
just
that
the
up right
Has
escalation.
there been any inflation since then?
No. I don't
Okay,
know.
I'm sorry.
I don't.
I'm
has
sorry.
there been? I don't.
Anyway,
So yeah, I mean, so that I'm willing to bet that that's probably a very large number.
yeah. What would it be today? All right. Well,
I'm looking that up.
It's probably. Yeah.
what's 100 million? Fast forward to
Oh
today.
my! I can't believe you youngins aren't using Copilot, my AI assistant.
Says the guy that literally just said, "Don't write your cover letter in AI."
What was the total? What was the total?
$99 million.
99
$99
million for
million. All right.
everything.
I'll see what your answer is. But what?
That's 99 million, right? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It would. I'm gonna guess roughly
Yeah, what do you-
triple.
Mm.
Dude, what even is that?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 187 million,
It hasn't
Oh.
even doubled. I'm surprised.
No,
right?
I'm gonna.
Or did I read that wrong?
Okay.
Thanks, Rita.
1, 2, 3, comma. 1, 2, 3, comma.
Okay.
Yeah, 186 million.
So you guys gonna hear what
Sure.
What's
What's
the
AI?
Copilot
says?
say?
Yeah,
the AI says? What was your number again?
99 million. Oh wait, for the inflation is 187-ish.
Yeah.
Million.
So yeah, it basically said it's like it'd be worth. It's basically double.
Double. Okay.
Yeah. So about 181,170,000.
Still not cheap.
Cents.
Yeah,
No.
very big.
No, but the percentage though, the percentage being 5% actual damages,
Mm-hmm.
95% punitive damages
Yeah.
is a message.
Yeah.
And the message is
We hate you.
we hate you.
Yeah.
The jury is literally like, after listening to all this for 7 weeks, at the end of the day, we despise you, and you should have settled, because we are
Yeah.
really feeling for the grieving widows and family members, and yeah, they need some justice, and we're here to
They
give it.
So question for you.
Yeah.
So I thought I heard at the beginning that there was liquidated damages, which means
Yes.
that there's penalties for completion, delayed completion.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Okay. Yeah.
liquidated damages is what that's called.
Mhm.
So I think that I'm not a fan of liquidated damages, because all liquidated damages do is push poor decision making.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
example A.
Yeah. So yeah, and I get it that's a really good that's a good stick for an owner conceivably to have if they need to have something done by a certain time. However, I think when you do
I would agree.
liquidated damages, you really have to have a very good understanding of what the other consequences might be.
Yeah.
And this is a very good example of just really poor decision making because there was money involved.
Yeah. And I mean, there's no way that liquidated damages would rack
Well-
up to $100 million, right?
Well, no, it's not $100 million, because they also caused $100 million worth of damage to the crane.
Oh, yeah.
I mean the crane and
And the
the
building.
stadium.
Yeah.
You know, it says that they paid out $100 million just fixing all the things that broke when that crane in the roof section
Oh, yeah.
collapsed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is actually, I'm surprised it's that low, to be honest,
Yeah, I am too.
because I can't imagine what the cleanup would be on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine, you got to figure whatever.
Yeah.
Well, Mitsubishi is probably not going under because of it, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying that the cleanup and fixing everything. I mean, good Lord, what's the crane alone that you just destroyed?
Right,
cost?
right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is a $200 million mistake.
Mhm.
Not a $100 million mistake.
Yeah. And the people seem to be really behind it because even after the punitive damage, they had a statue erected of the 3 ironworkers at the stadium
Yeah.
too. So it seemed like they all kind of banded together against all these bad decisions.
Well, it is a good lesson though that that there's consequences sometimes to those type of things.
Yeah.
That you have. So like whenever you hear in your career like liquidated damages, if you're in a job like that, then you just have to kind of keep that in the back of your mind, because especially as young engineers, you may not have a say, and a lot of things kind of get pushed, Not that I'm not saying that happens in every project with
Yeah.
liquidated damages. Certainly,
No,
the vast
no.
minority only have those issues. But
But it does, like you said, it opens
it
a
opens,
can of worms
yeah,
to invite
Right.
maybe poor decisions.
yep, no,
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay. Gosh, I'm trying to think. You know what? I don't. I can't really think of one time, one project where liquidated damages actually helped.
Interesting.
They don't.
I can't think of a single instance where it's like, oh yeah, that was a really good idea to put in the contract.
Yeah.
Liquidated damages aren't necessarily a bad thing
Mhm.
if you have a reasonable time to complete the work.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you guys
It's
have
like a
taken
nice little incentive. Like,
Yeah.
hey,
Well-
the state exists and like we care that it happens.
I
Work
guess
to
I'm
complete.
more in favor of liquidated damages if there's also an incentive.
right.
Okay.
It has to go both
It
ways.
has to go both ways.
Because if you incent, you get a bonus if you finish early.
Mhm.
Or you get a penalty if you finish
right,
late.
right.
That makes
Then that's
Yeah.
that's a little. However, I mean, then again, you're driving, so that's where like when we're scheduling and all the lessons you learn in 441 are so important, and how much float do you have, and how are you going to manage
Yeah.
that schedule? Then it becomes more of a science. And boy, I tell you what, if you have a good project manager and a good superintendent on those jobs, so I'll give you a story here. Years ago, when I worked for that design build contractor, there was a project that we bid. It was a chiller replacement, and the project we were low on it. It was a hard bid. However, so the general contractor comes back and tells us, hey, you're the apparent low, so just double check everything. we double checked everything, and there was an error. They used the wrong quote of them on the machine. I mean, a big error.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was significant, and so the general contractor came back and said, "Hey, you know what? We'll give you this opportunity. You can withdraw your bid, but I need a decision by the end of the week." We went back and we looked at it, and this is a time when I was working for them. The economy wasn't that great, so everybody. Well, it was a big design build contractor, hard bidding work. That tells you everything. So we really needed the work. So what we did is we brought in our best pipe fitter, mechanical superintendent, best project manager, all sat around a table and just brainstormed and what we could do to get it done more efficiently.
Yeah.
And we ended up working out the superintendent came up and he basically said, "Hey, I can do it with this many hours because labor is all the risk. That's your float a lot of times. You know, your hard costs are your hard costs. You know, your chiller's
Cost
going
of
to
the
cost the
chiller,
same.
yeah.
Yeah.
Copper pipe is copper pipe.
But your labor is kind of where your risk and your opportunity is. So the superintendent, his name was Rocky. He said, perfect name, by the way. He was like, "Tell you what, if you give me this person, and this person, and these apprentices, I'll get it done for you underneath these many hours."
Wow.
And so they did it. We did it. We took the job. We got it done. We actually didn't make a huge margin, but we were in the black at the end of the project.
Wow.
Nice.
So that goes to tell you that, you know, you can do anything, even, you know, if you have the right people and the right plan.
Yeah.
You know, just I would tell that story when I taught 441. It was just such a good story because it was just like, no way. I mean, when you saw the delta of how bad the screw up was on the material cost, it was like, no way we're going to make this up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, and for every one of those, there's the other side of the story, where on
Your turn, Brad.
yes, but I was on the consulting engineering side, had a really, really challenging school project with a bunch of steam tunnels, and you had to build a new plant, and while the old one was running, and then intercept all the lines, and then turn the old one off and demo it. And I really wanted the school to require everybody that bid. I wanted to make it mandatory to go to the pre-bid meeting. Well, the school's lawyer's like, "No, I don't think we can require that." I'm like, "Yeah, you can." Anyway, they're like, "No, we can't." Hey, if they want to bid it and they don't want to go to the pre-bid, that's their business. As long as they're bonded, we'll take it. It's a bad idea. So anyway, the
Very
one
bad idea.
mechanical, and once again, this was during a time when times were tough. The lowest contractor by a lot that got it was the one that didn't go to the pre-bid meeting.
Nice.
Yeah. Change orders started the first day of mobilization,
Oh.
right? Because he had screwed it up so bad, and he was like, "Well, I'm just going to make it up on change orders, just like change order. This elbow is not shown on your drawings." And it's like, they're not spool pieces. You have to put in enough elbows to get around stuff. Well, this is an extra, you know, and just making stuff up.
Yeah.
And it did not go well. It did not go well. It went so bad, in fact, that at the end of that, the project manager for the mechanical contractor, he got fired.
Oh.
And here's the uncomfortable part. He was married to the owner's daughter.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell you what, we all, I mean, yeah. I
Yeah.
have, for as many Rocky stories as I have.
For as many Rocky
my
stories,
God.
there's guys
There's
like
a really
this.
rocky story.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a really
That's
Rocky story.
that was rough.
Christmas would be awkward after that one.
All right.
The Christmas politics.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, Christmas, hell, Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
Getting to
Ooh.
Christmas, just awkward Thanksgiving dinner, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Hey, we are right at 5 o'clock. Okay, so
Wow.
we're going to pause here. I'd like to thank our special guest today, Tom Foldis.
Woo.
Right. I hope everyone watching this now knows how to apply for jobs, and don't forget, if Tom gives you an offer, bring it to me and let me tell you how to negotiate higher. All right, but you should have
If there's
someone
one
like
thing
me.
you learned today.
Yeah, if you learn nothing else, Everything's negotiable. Tom said so. All right. So we appreciate your questions. I appreciate you guys driving up here during break to attend. And we will catch you all another time. We're going to have more office hours on Thursday, and we have Baker Group is in.
Oh,
Yep, Baker Group is in that day. Dale Drent and Russ Atkin.
awesome. Love
Awesome.
Dale. I know
Oh, yeah.
Dale very well.
Dale and I interned when we were students in 1995.
Dang.
That's how long I've known Dale.
Dale's a good guy.
Yeah, he was at my wedding. I was at his. All right. It's a small world in
It is
mechanics.
Yeah.
All right, it is. All right. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.